Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat datang kembali teman-teman semua di Pondok Inggris 123. Spesial hari ini kita akan membahas tentang tema yang berjudul grammar itu penting nggak sih? Nah, di sini sangat krusial banget ya karena yang namanya kita belajar bahasa Inggris itu tidak jauh-jauh yang namanya grammar. Nah, saya Mr. Ahmad dan hari ini kita akan ngobrol santai tapi penuh insight bareng narasumber kita, seorang dosen bahasa Inggris yang sudah berpengalaman banget dalam mengajar dan mendampingi banyak pelajar dari berbagai level. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Miss Nurma.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How is your day, Mr. Rahmat?
Alhamdulillah, is everything is fine, everything is good.
Alhamdulillah.
Oke, nah Miss Nurma, siapa sih yang
Yes.
nggak pernah bingung ya soal grammar? Kadang kita mikir grammar itu penting nggak sih buat speaking lancar atau malah bikin kita jadi takut ngomong. Nah, pertanyaan pertama ini adalah menurut Miss Nurma nih, grammar itu penting nggak sih buat pemula untuk belajar bahasa Inggris?
Oke, thank you for the question. Halo teman-teman Pondok Inggris semuanya. Senang banget hari ini Mr. Rahmat kembali ya bisa bersama-sama ngobrol nih sama Mr. Rahmat dan menyemangati kalian semua untuk speaking English atau speak up gitu ya. Nah, memang kalau grammar ini as we know that grammar is one of the things yang selalu difikirkan oleh seorang pemula ketika dia mau ngomong bahasa Inggris gitu ya. Kalau ditanya penting atau enggak bagi pemula, yes it's important, tetapi shouldn't become a burden gitu ya. For beginners, the focus should be on using the language-nya first. Jadi fokusnya pada penggunaan bahasanya nih. Grammar can follow as they grow more confident. Grammar tuh nanti bisa nyusul kok gitu ya. Jadi fokus pada using the language-nya dulu nih, Mr. Rahmat. Begitu.
Oke, berarti
Ya.
kalau misalnya menurut Miss Nurma adalah using the language itu, berarti grammar
Mm-mm.
itu it's hard to understand atau bagaimana? Karena kalau misalnya Mr. Rama bilang bahwa fokus kepada penggunaannya saja, berarti kita ignore the uses of grammar gitu. Jadi apakah grammar itu seakan-akan it's not really important to use ya because everyone can understand without having the grammar atau bagaimana?
Iya, jadi using language itu bisa kita terjemahkan kan ke dalam bahasa Indonesia menggunakan bahasanya terlebih dahulu, ya kan? Ketika dia ngomongin tentang grammar, we are talking about the structure of the language. Kita ngomongin tentang tata bahasanya. Sama seperti bahasa Indonesia, kalau kita nunggu kita bahasa Indonesianya baku dulu, berdasarkan tata bahasanya dulu, kita nanti akhirnya nggak berbicara gitu kan. Tetapi using of the language di sini adalah bagaimana kita bisa mendorong diri kita itu nggak mikirin soal tata bahasa dulu, tetapi mikirin tentang gimana kita bisa ngungkapin bagian dari bahasa itu. Karena kalau tata bahasa, maybe we need the rules, we need the regulation, we need the formula. Kalau belajar grammar kan biasanya pakai formula atau kita butuh yang namanya rumus gitu ya. Nah, artinya you spend the time to think, even maybe you are overwhelming ya, thinking about grammar first, terus akhirnya nggak berani untuk berbicara. Penting, tapi jangan fokus di grammar dulu bagi pemula gitu. Tetapi fokus pada penggunaan bahasanya dulu, bagian dari tata bahasanya. Mungkin dari kosakatanya dulu, kosakatanya belum lengkap gitu kan. Nah, itu bisa kita langsung gunain aja kata-kata bahasa Inggrisnya gitu.
Oke,
The
Miss
use
Nurma.
of the language.
Yap.
Mhm.
Nah, di sini
Gitu,
kita,
Mr. Rahmat.
ya kita kasih contoh misalnya, for example like this one. Biasanya
Mhm.
kita menggunakan uh, suatu kalimat yang sederhana untuk express our purpose misalnya. Kalau saya biasanya dulu ya Miss Ruma belajar bahasa Inggris itu
Mhm.
dimulai dari simple present tense dulu gitu. Nah, simple
Hmm.
present tense itu kan bagian dari salah satu tenses gitu yang ada 16
Iya,
itu yang
yang
is
sehari-hari gitu ya
ya
kita
it's very
gunakan.
hard to remember that 16 tenses gitu Miss Norma. Tapi ya mau nggak mau harus diikuti, harus dijalani. Tapi kadang sometimes because today I have known English alhamdulillah and I have known grammar. I think that grammar is like to lead us to the right way gitu. Maksudnya bagaimana kalau grammar itu fungsinya adalah untuk membantu kita menyelamatkan dari kesalahan. For example kayak gini. I am like monkey gitu. Misalnya, I like monkey and I am like monkey. Uh, is there any function of the grammar here gitu? Karena kalau misalnya kalau kita mengatakan bahwa I like monkey, is okay lah ya. Tapi kalau misalnya I am like monkey itu kayak semacam kalau orang yang tahu grammar pasti mereka akan bilang bahwa wow, are you like monkey gitu seperti itu. Jadi Mr. Ro mungkin ada solusinya terhadap yang ini.
Okay, that's really interesting question ya. I think grammar is talking about technical experiences gitu ya. Kayak tadi Mr. Rahmat sampaikan bahwa mungkin dia tidak akan pernah tahu kesalahannya seperti itu sampai dia mengucapkannya kan. So that's why tadi firstly I told you that grammar can follow as they grow more confident. So the experience around you will help you to improve by yourself. Hmm, when you get the experience like Mr. Ahmad said, yeah, it means that you will learn the grammar naturally
Yap.
from your environment. So it's okay if you do not know first, but you can try to correct after that. Why do many learners feel grammar is hard to understand? Because it's often taught a very technical way without real life experiences. So without real life examples.
Okay.
That's why they need to pour themselves to the experience to make them realize grammar is connected to daily situation. It becomes easier to grasp it. So that's why it's okay if they do not know firstly, but after that they will know the correct one
All
in
right.
grammar.
So,
Hmm.
from this discussion, you still think about the grammar function is not really important for speaking. Yeah, for example.
For firstly not. For
Firstly,
firstly not.
okay.
Let them try to build themselves in their experience and then they try to correct it after that based on their real life situation. So don't teach grammar first,
Don't teach
but
grammar
teach
first.
them, motivate them to use the language first.
Okay.
So it's important, but it is not coming firstly, Mr. Ahmad.
Snack. Do you have any experience with that? For example, your children, no,
Mm.
sorry, your students. Your students sometimes they have because they do not know the grammar so well, and then they just
Mm.
speak English like what just they know in just what just come in their mind, and then do
Mm.
you blame them or you just correct their mistake or just let it flow?
Okay, based on the experience, let's come to my experience firstly when I was in elementary school at the time. No elementary school because I got English when I was in junior high school. So second level of the educations, right?
Okay.
Over there, based on the experience, because of my teachers try to teach by traditional method or classical methods, they try to introduce grammatical error firstly. So that's why the experience built my thinking, right? The
Okay.
experience built my habit when I want to use English. So that's why this habit was difficult to change, Mr. Ahmad. Even though after graduating from senior high school, I took English major, for example, before speaking, I will think grammar firstly. That's
Okay.
why
Right.
that's my experience before, and it happens. So the environment, the vibes of the learning nowadays that you got from your school, it will influence you how you act it out as a someone who wants to speak up English. So that's why to fight it, it's difficult because your teacher, your environment built that kind of habit to you. So you will think grammar firstly, right? So because I have ever got the experience and now I am the lecturer, I do not want to do like that to my students.
Okay.
Firstly, like I told to you last meeting, last YouTube content, yeah, in Pondok Inggris, we talked about vocabulary. We need to assess them firstly, right? When they tend to visual, it means that I will try to teach them visually. So grammar could be taught by games, for example. They can see some pictures, they can point it, they can say it, and then they can act it out after knowing all the pictures, after knowing about all the activities. For example, I show them three pictures.
Okay.
And the big title of the picture is in the school, for example, or in the campus. There are three rooms over there. Let's say art room,
Okay.
okay, classroom, and we have library, for example. In art room, there are many people there. For example, maybe a man is playing guitar, for example,
Okay.
and there is a woman is drawing or painting a picture, for example. Firstly, they will see the picture and then the teacher try to demonstrate what contents of the picture and then they repeat again. They try to do by themselves and then they try to reflect to themselves. So, what are you doing in art room?
Okay.
Are you drawing? Are you playing guitar? Or you have something else that you do in art room? The way of the teachers to teach in the class, not by showing them the blackboard or the whiteboard and after that subject verb object something like that,
Okay.
but let's them immerse first with the picture and then they know how to say, and after that teacher can introduce the grammar to them. They already speak up first and after that we tend to give them the grammatical structure. That's the way, Mr. Rahmat. Not grammar comes first, but speak up or using the language coming first. That's why what I did in my class based on my experience now or recently. I don't
Okay.
want to make my students act it out like I was in my elementary school or
Okay.
junior
Okay.
high school
Right.
before.
It's very nice
Yeah.
because you have practiced what you get from your
Mm,
background educations
yeah.
before, background
Prior
knowledge,
knowledge,
your
prior
prior knowledge,
experience. Yeah.
and then because studying English, we have some method, we have some ways how to teach the students, teaching the grammar,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
of
Mm-hmm.
course, because of that way, it will stimulate the students to be able to
Yeah.
know grammar. But this is just
Mm-hmm.
used implicitly. Yeah, I think that this is
Mm.
used implicitly by yourself because you don't want to make them hard to study English, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Meaningful learning could be created when they are happy, right?
Right.
So
Okay.
their feeling is really important, firstly, before coming to the learning process.
Right.
When your students are happy, it will be easier to understand the less of the materials. Yeah, something like that, Mr. Rahmat.
Okay.
I'm sure also Pondok Inggris has many happy things to learn. Yeah.
Inshallah, inshallah. I think that
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
your way to make the students having fun with you. I thought that your
Mm-hmm.
students are all enjoy studying with you, I think. All right.
Enjoying studying firstly, right? When they are enjoy, so they will be confident in learning, so we can use that things
So what
in
about
our
this
activity.
one, Miss Norma? Because because
Mm,
we have to teach the students not about what study everlasting, but we have to focus on this meeting. For example,
mhm,
we have to reach the objective of the lesson, and then, for
mhm,
example, the students must be able to know about
mhm,
simple present tense. The students must
mhm,
know about the comparison, for example. But
mhm,
if
mhm,
we do not teach them directly, yeah, is it
mhm.
possible for the students to understand that? Because based on what you said before, this is your implicit way in order to make the students enjoy studying English, and sometimes they ignore the objective of this lesson.
Mhm.
Okay, before I give you the question, do you think that we have to share the objective of the lesson first to let the students know what they will study first, and after that maybe this is your way, this is your method to let the students understand and become melted in your study, and they did not think about the grammar. MashaAllah, do I study grammar with Miss Nurma, for example? Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so based on viewpoint as a teacher, before coming to the class, of course, we prepare our lesson plan, right? And
Right.
then on our lesson plan, it's stated the objective of the lesson. And the way of you to deliver the objective of the lesson could be you mention directly, or maybe you can mention implicitly too, Mr. Rahmat. If
Okay.
your students are elementary school, maybe you can tell your feeling like, my students, I'm really happy today. If you, as a students now, try to speak up English well about your daily habit, about
Okay.
your routine activities in class. If your students is elementary, but if your students is like university students, like I do, we have like CPMK ya. Kalau dalam perkuliahan itu capaian mata kuliah gitu.
Okay.
Dan it's their right also to know the objective of the lesson gitu ya. Dan mereka malah diperkenalkan tujuan daripada pembelajaran ini capaiannya itu seperti apa. Dan yang paling penting adalah teachers try to deliver your pesan diri ya. Kalau kita belajar itu ada namanya pesan diri. Jadi
Okay.
saya senang kalau misalnya nanti para mahasiswa saya bisa lebih kreatif lagi di dalam mengaplikasikan simple present tense ini di dalam kehidupan sehari-hari karena learning without practice is useless, misalnya is not balanced gitu. Nah, itu disampaikan pesan dirinya. Sama seperti anak-anak di elementary school juga. So, your question, perlu nggak sih kita sampaikan objective of the lesson? Iya, perlu gitu.
Okay.
Nah, kalau misalnya pertanyaannya terkait dengan melting, sebenarnya di dalam aktivitas itu mungkin ada yang lebih familiar dengan istilah ice breaking ya,
Okay.
atau ada yang familiar dengan hands-on activity. Nah, memang di dalam pembelajaran, misalnya 1 jam pembelajaran itu about 40 minutes, paling untuk hands-on activities itu 5 until 10 minutes. Tapi di dalam hands-on itu ada target pembelajaran yang mau kita capai. Apa? Kalau kita belajar level of thinking-nya, berarti kita target pembelajarannya berada di ranah memorizing dengan understanding-nya ya. Jadi di level 1 atau level kognitif 1 dengan level kognitif 2-nya. Level kognitif 3-nya di-apply, kemudian nanti ada level dia mengasosiasi, dia mengevaluasi dan menciptakan, itu bisa ada di inti daripada pembelajarannya. Sebenarnya it can catch the target ya, tapi jangan lupa the most important things adalah bukan targetnya, tetapi meaningful learningnya ya. Ada pembelajaran yang berarti yang dirasakan oleh mereka. Dari mana berartinya? How to connect the activity to the real experience ya, the real life experience gitu ya. Jadi melted teachers itu mungkin istilahnya tuh lebih ke gimana dia nyaman dengan pembelajaran kita melalui ice breaking di awalnya, hands on di awalnya, tapi yang mengontrol objektif could be reach or could be achieved itu adalah teachersnya karena dia yang mengatur hands onnya itu berapa lama gitu ya. Nah, tantangan di sini because I teach in Politeknik Pelayaran Malahayati ya, ini adalah sebuah kampus yang bergerak di bidang pelayaran dan sebagian besar itu mereka adalah calon-calon cadets atau calon-calon pelaut dan di sini mereka tuh harus bangun wake up early dan biasanya mereka tuh udah very tired in the class in the morning, even maybe they are sleepy, some of them itu sleepy karena malam mereka ada yang dinas jaga tapi harus masuk lagi di pagi hari. Nah, when you see the situation, you will be sad as a teacher, right? You
Okay.
see your students nggak semangat nih, jangankan belajar grammar gitu ya.
Yes. Yes.
Ngelihat mereka tidur aja, itu kita harus perbaiki dulu dan kita punya waktu 10 menit nih untuk hands on. Bisa jadi kita ajak mereka movement dulu, kita ajak mereka untuk senam dulu gitu ya. It's okay, never mind gitu. Ajak mereka mungkin berdiri dulu gitu ya. Itu yang sering dilakukan. That's the way of the teacher how to make the class actively in the class gitu ya. Nah, balik lagi ke pertanyaannya, yaitu objektifnya memang harus disampaikan, itu hak mereka untuk mendapatkan objektif itu dan pesan diri daripada seorang teachersnya, tapi jangan spend the time to hands on ya, hands on activity-nya jangan terlalu lama gitu, sekitar 5 until 10 minutes, tapi ada level of thinking dari pembelajaran itu. Kan kita bisa cari ice breaking yang related to the materials, it will help you to reach your objective ya, something like that, Mr. Rahmat.
So the
Ya.
way you deliver the lesson to the students, of course, you have to sampaikan the objective of the
Ya,
lesson. But
ya,
if you
should.
want, if the students comfortable studying with you, you have to have the variety of ice breaking,
Ya,
you say.
ya,
Okay.
hands on, ice breaking.
Okay. So what about
Mhm.
giving the assignment, Ms. Nurma? Yeah. giving
Mhm.
the assignment. Sometimes, because you do not, because traditionally, sometimes the teachers traditionally just deliver what comes in their mind grammatically, because they want to reach the objective of the lesson by giving the assignment
Mhm.
for the students. Sometimes the student get what the teachers want, because just directly to the point. But
Yeah.
because of the way of the teaching and learning right nowadays, we have to use the interesting media, interesting method. Sometimes, because of the duration is just limited for the students, and this
Mhm.
is not what tersampaikan semua dari
Mhm.
objective of the lesson. Jadi the
Mhm.
result of the assignment sometimes do not increase, ya, uh, numerically, ya, secara angkanya tidak naik, tapi lebih kepada secara motivatively, ya, secara secara afektifnya, secara sikapnya student
Mhm.
itu
Mhm.
meningkat. So Miss Nurma,
Mhm.
what do you want to reach first? Do you want to get the score of the students numerically very good, or you just want to build the students' comfort zone to speak English, because this is the long life studying for the students?
Okay, so I think cognitive, affective, and then psychomotoric, it should be balanced on your learning process, yeah, Mr. Rahmat. We cannot focus on cognitive only. For example, maybe they understand about the formula of simple present tense, is talking about cognitive, and then affective here, the way of them to apply it, something like that. And then psychomotor means that maybe you make the activity role play in the class, and then they practice about the grammatical objective, ya, for example. So all kinds of the activity should be achieved, ya, harus dicapai juga tiga-tiganya, kognitif, afektif, sama psikomotornya gitu. Tiga-tiganya kita akan sejalankan dengan program yang kita berikan gitu. Nah, kalau tadi pertanyaannya adalah assignment dan nggak bisa dicapai semua target itu tadi, ya nggak apa-apa, it's okay gitu ya. Artinya yang harus dibenarkan itu adalah jangan kebanyakan kita itu mencapai targetnya, tapi prosesnya mereka nggak dapat. Nah, sekarang kan terkenal banget dengan istilah deep learning ya. Nah, deep learning itu tuh kan dia relates kepada growth mindset kan. Yang penting itu adalah prosesnya gitu. Nah,
Oke.
makanya kemarin tuh juga ada beberapa konten ya di Instagram itu yang diberikan oleh beberapa praktisi pendidikan bahwa ternyata tuh kayak summative assessment ya, itu kan namanya summative assessment ya, artinya UAS, ujian akhir ataupun ujian tengah semester itu kan summative assessment, dan
Ya.
biasanya presentasinya juga lebih besar di presentasi prosesnya, tugas gitu ya,
Ya.
atau ada kuis yang diberikan, atau misalnya nilai di dalam kelas gitu, keaktifan dia. Nah, kalau misalnya udah keaktifan, kehadiran, itu kan udah formative assessment ya, dan
Ya.
di situ kita bisa menilai mereka gitu dari segi afektifnya, something like that gitu. So that's why assignment could be given ya sebagai extended activity atau aktivitas tambahan mereka to improve themselves at home maybe ya, because you don't have a lot of time, tapi nggak dibiarkan gitu aja ya, harus diberikan feedbacknya. Sometimes we didn't give the feedback to the students, just give the assignment, and after that you give the score, you give the numeric ya, like you told, and then you didn't say anything to the students ya. Kebetulan sebelum Miss Nurma di Politeknik Pelayaran Mayati Aceh ini, Miss Nurma di Indonesia Heritage Foundation, itu salah satu sekolah di Depok ya, dari TK sampai dengan kuliah juga. Nah, nanti mungkin sometime teman-teman Pondok Inggris yang lagi ada di Depok gitu ya, boleh tuh belajar dengan sekolah karakter gitu, karena di sana mereka lebih memperhatikan bahwa ketika anak-anak itu memiliki karakter yang baik gitu ya, maka dia akan mudah di dalam akademiknya. So they will be easy for their cognitive, something like that, Mr. Rahmat.
Oke, ini yang terakhir Miss Nurma ya.
Hmm.
When is
Ya.
the exact time to focus on grammar? Jadi dalam artian gini Miss Nurma, belajarnya benar-benar yang fokus to reach the
Hmm.
grammar very well, because he wants to get, for example, the TOEFL score, the high TOEFL score, or the IELTS TOEFL score. Itu kan benar-benar yang benar jelimet banget belajar grammar,
Hmm.
belajar academic writing, semuanya Miss Nurma. Jadi kapan sebaiknya student itu benar-benar fokus ke grammar, karena banyak sekolah-sekolah, misalnya sekolah-sekolah baik itu sekolah internasional, dan mereka
Hmm.
tuh memberikan semacam persyaratan harus skor TOEFL-nya segini, IELTS-nya segini. Kadang-kadang mereka tuh terlena dengan gurunya yang nyaman banget, ternyata tiba di
Hmm.
atasnya tidak benar-benar yang luar biasa tinggi banget yang harus dicapai gitu. Ini terakhir Miss Nurma. Wah,
Okay, I think it's two different way in viewpoint ya, Mr. Ahmad ya. Kalau kita mau bagi itu ada dua hal yang berbeda menurut Miss Nurma ya. Kita kan ngobrolin itu based on experience ya, gitu. Artinya
betul.
yang dijawab itu based on experience berdasarkan pengalaman yang Miss Nurma pernah lakukan gitu.
Yep.
Nah, kalau misalnya kita ngomongin tentang grammar dan correct correct time gitu, kapan sih tepatnya belajar grammar? Tadi di awal sebenarnya sudah sempat kita singgung ya bahwa Miss Nurma sempat menyiapkan tiga gambar gitu ya, ada ruang seni, kemudian ada ruang kelas dan ada ruang perpustakaan gitu ya. Dan Miss Nurma membiarkan students dulu untuk dia ngomong apa yang ada di situ, ya
Ya,
kan? Nah,
baik.
baru dia tepat belajar grammar karena dia mengkaji apa yang dia omongkan, apa
Hmm,
yang dia bicarakan. So, they already use the language firstly and then after that they try to evaluate apa sih yang dia bilang tadi gitu. Yang dia bilang ini udah benar belum ya secara grammarnya, lagi belajar grammar apa sih gitu ya. Misalnya
baik.
he is playing guitar for example, itu kan kalau dalam grammar berarti present continuous tense atau present progressive tense gitu ya. Nah, dia udah ngucapin dulu sehingga dia lebih tahu gitu posisinya itu seperti apa. Dia tahu dulu baru nanti dia lihat aturannya itu seperti apa gitu ya. Di dalam belajar bahasa Inggris yang sering dilakukan itu yang lebih convenient atau lebih nyaman. Tapi case yang berbeda when you are learning about TOEFL, IELTS, TOEIC gitu ya. Itu hal yang berbeda karena secara intention itu juga berbeda.
Baik.
Artinya some students, kebetulan Mr. Ma juga ngajar TOEFL ya. Jadi ada students yang mau catching TOEFL dan darah strategi dari intentionnya aja dia udah benerin niatnya dulu nih. Oh iya,
Baik,
I
baik.
want to use my TOEFL certificate to increase my career for example, atau dia mau memang enroll their study to overseas gitu ya, kayak ada enforcementnya gitu, kayak ada kekuatan behind the scene-nya gitu yang membuat dia tuh emang harus belajar grammar gitu. Jadi
Baik.
like or dislike